The suitcase twitched. Elise froze, her hand hovering over the zipper, heart slamming against her ribs as the leather case on the hotel floor shuddered again, like something alive was trapped inside. In the quiet of the upscale New York hotel room, the sound of her own breathing felt deafening. She'd been unpacking after a long day of shooting content for her travel blog, her camera still warm from snapping photos of the city's glittering skyline. Elise Harper, 28, was no stranger to adventure. Her life was a collage of plane tickets, cityscapes, and stories shared with her thousands of followers. But nothing in her travels had prepared her for this. The suitcase, a battered companion from countless trips, wasn't supposed to move on its own. She knelt, pulse racing, and whispered, "What the hell?" Her fingers brushed the zipper, hesitating. Then a muffled sob broke the silence, a human sound, raw and desperate. Elise yanked the suitcase open, and out tumbled a girl, curled up and trembling, her face streaked with tears. The girl, no older than 27, had wide blue eyes that glistened with fear. Her blonde hair was tangled, her sweater frayed, and she clutched a small backpack like it was her lifeline. "Please," she gasped, voice cracking. "Don't call anyone. I didn't know where else to go." Elise's shock gave way to a surge of protectiveness. She'd seen hardship in her travels, street kids in Bangkok, refugees in Athens, but this was different. This was her hotel room, her suitcase, her life colliding with someone else's nightmare. Hey, it's okay," she said softly, kneeling beside the girl. "You're safe. What's your name?" "Mara," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible. "Mara Lynn." Elise's mind raced. How had Mara gotten here? Why her suitcase? The questions piled up, but Mara's trembling hands and haunted expression demanded answers later. "I'm Elise," she said, offering a gentle smile. "Let's get you cleaned up, okay? Then we'll figure this out." Mara nodded, her eyes flickering with a mix of gratitude and distrust. Elise helped her to the bathroom, where Mara washed her face, the water mixing with tears. As she steadied Mara, Elise couldn't ignore the spark of something deeper. An instinct to protect, to understand, that felt both foreign and familiar. She'd always been open about her identity as a lesbian on her blog, sharing stories of love and loss with her audience. But this moment with this stranger felt like the start of something she couldn't yet name. Over coffee from the hotel's minibar, Mara began to talk. She was from a small town in Ohio, raised in a strict family that saw her queerness as a sin. At 18, she'd run away, chasing freedom in New York, only to fall into the grip of a controlling girlfriend who turned abusive. "I had to get out," Mara said, her voice shaking. She was going to hurt me. Worse than before. She'd slipped away during a chaotic night, hiding in alleys, until she'd spotted Elise's suitcase unattended in the hotel lobby during a busy check-in. Desperate, she'd crawled inside, hoping to stay hidden until she could figure out her next move. Elise listened, her heart twisting. She knew the weight of judgment, the sting of rejection. Her own coming out at 20 had fractured her family, though they'd since reconciled. But Mara's story was raw, immediate, a wound still bleeding. "You're not going back to her," Elise said firmly. "Not ever." Mara's eyes met hers, searching. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Elise hesitated, then spoke from the heart. "Because I've been lost before, and someone helped me find my way." That night, Elise gave Mara the bed, taking the couch herself. As Mara slept, Elise sat by the window, the city's lights sprawling below. She thought of her blog, her platform, a space where she shared truths about the world and herself. Could she share Mara's story? Should she? The idea felt both powerful and invasive. She glanced at Mara, curled under the blankets, and felt a pull she couldn't explain. A need to keep her safe, to be near her. The next morning, Elise woke to find Mara staring out the window, her expression softer but still guarded. "I can't stay here," Mara said. "She'll find me. She always does." "Who is she?" Elise asked, her voice gentle but firm. Mara's hands twisted together. "Her name's Vanessa. She's powerful. Connected. She knows people in this city. People who can track me down." Elise's stomach tightened. This wasn't just a story of escape, it was a chase. She thought of her blog's reach, her followers' support. Maybe she could use it to help Mara discreetly. "I have a platform," she said. I can get the word out anonymously to people who can help. Shelters, organizations. No, Mara cut in, panic flashing in her eyes. She'll see it. She follows your blog. She knows I mentioned you once. How your posts about being out gave me hope. Elise blinked, stunned. Her blog had reached Mara before they'd ever met? The weight of that settled over her, mingling with a growing sense of responsibility. Okay, she said. No posts. But we need a plan. They spent the day mapping out options. Elise contacted a friend at a local women's shelter, arranging a safe place for Mara to stay. But as they talked, something shifted. Mara's guarded walls began to crack, revealing a dry humor and quiet strength that drew Elise in. When Mara laughed for the first time, a small bright sound, Elise felt her heart stutter. She hadn't expected this, the warmth spreading through her chest, the way Mara's presence filled the room. By evening they were sharing takeout, trading stories of their lives. Mara spoke of her childhood dreams of being a writer, stifled by her family's expectations. Elise shared tales of her travels, the freedom she'd found in embracing her identity. Their laughter mingled, their hands brushing as they passed food containers. The air between them crackled, unspoken but undeniable. As night fell, Mara reached for Elise's hand, her touch tentative. I don't know how to thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You're the first person who's made me feel seen. Elise's breath caught. She wanted to close the distance between them, to hold Mara and promise safety. But she held back, aware of Mara's fragility, her own heart pounding with a mix of fear and longing. You don't owe me anything, she said softly. Just stay safe. Mara's eyes lingered on hers, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. But the shadow of Vanessa loomed, a reminder that safety was fleeting. Elise knew they couldn't stay in this hotel forever. Tomorrow they'd move Mara to the shelter. But tonight, in this fragile bubble, Elise felt something new. A connection that could either save them or break them both. Mara's hand lingered in Elise's, the warmth of her touch anchoring them in the quiet hotel room. Outside, New York's pulse thrummed. Car horns, distant sirens, but inside it was just them, caught in a moment too delicate to name. Elise's heart raced, torn between the urge to pull Mara closer and the fear of crossing a line she couldn't uncross. Morning brought reality crashing back. Elise woke to a text from her shelter contact. A bed was ready, but Mara would need to move soon. Elise glanced at Mara, still asleep, her face softened by dreams. The sight stirred something fierce in Elise. A need to protect, to fight for this woman who'd stumbled into her life. But Vanessa's shadow hung heavy. Mara's fear wasn't abstract. It was a living threat, one Elise couldn't ignore. Over breakfast, Elise broached the plan. The shelter's safe, she said, passing Mara a coffee. They've got security resources. You'll be okay there. Mara's eyes darkened. Vanessa knows people. She's got money, connections. She found me once before in Chicago. I thought I'd gotten away, but her voice broke and she looked down, fingers twisting the hem of her sweater. Elise reached across the table, her hand covering Mara's. She won't find you this time. I'll make sure of it. The words felt bold, reckless even, but Elise meant them. She'd spent years building a life of independence, sharing her truth online. Now that truth felt tied to Mara's survival. They packed light, leaving the hotel by noon. Elise guided Mara through crowded Manhattan streets, her camera bag slung over her shoulder, her senses on high alert. Every glance from a passerby felt like a potential threat. Mara stayed close, her shoulder brushing Elise's, a silent tether between them. At the shelter, a kind-faced woman named Rosa welcomed them, explaining the security protocols. Mara nodded, but her eyes kept darting to the door, as if expecting Vanessa to burst through. As they settled Mara into a small, clean room, Elise felt a pang. This was safety, but it wasn't freedom. Mara deserved more than hiding. I'll check on you tomorrow, Elise promised, squeezing Mara's hand. You've got my number. Call if you need anything. Mara's smile was faint but genuine. You've already done too much. Elise shook her head. Not enough. She left the shelter with a heavy heart, the city's noise swallowing her thoughts. Back at her hotel, she opened her laptop, staring at her blog's dashboard. Her latest post, a vibrant montage of New York's skyline, felt hollow now. Her followers deserved honesty, but Mara's story wasn't hers to tell. Not yet. That night Elise couldn't sleep. She kept replaying Mara's words, her fear of Vanessa. On impulse, she searched Vanessa's name online, finding a polished LinkedIn profile. Vanessa Carter, 32. A marketing executive with a sleek Manhattan address. The photo showed a woman with sharp features and a cold smile, the kind that hid cruelty. Elise's gut twisted. This was the woman who'd driven Mara to hide in a suitcase. The next day, Elise returned to the shelter, bringing coffee and bagels. Mara looked rested but tense, her eyes scanning the room. Any trouble? Elise asked, handing her a cup. Mara shook her head. It's quiet here. Too quiet. I keep waiting for her to show up. Elise sat beside her, their knees brushing. We'll figure this out. Maybe I can dig deeper, find out what Vanessa's capable of. I've got contacts, journalists, activists, people who can help. Mara's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. You can't fight her alone, Elise. She's relentless. Then we'll fight her together, Elise said, her voice steady. The words felt like a vow, sealing something unspoken between them. Mara's hand found hers, and this time neither pulled away. Over the next few days, Elise balanced her blog work with helping Mara. She shot photos of Central Park, posted about hidden cafes, but her mind was on Mara. They met daily, sharing meals, stories, and quiet moments that felt like stolen time. Mara opened up about her dreams of writing, her love for poetry. Elise shared her own struggles, her fear of being defined only by her queerness, her drive to make a difference. Their conversations wove a fragile bond, each moment laced with a growing attraction neither dared name. One evening, as they walked through a quiet park, Mara stopped, her breath visible in the chilly air. Elise, she said, her voice low, why do you keep coming back? Elise's heart pounded. She could lie, say it was just kindness. But the truth spilled out. Because you feel like home. And I've never had that before. Mara's eyes glistened and she stepped closer, her hand brushing Elise's cheek. The world still, the city fading to a hum. Their lips met, tentative at first, then desperate. A kiss that held all the fear and hope they couldn't voice. It was a spark, a promise, a risk. But the moment shattered. Elise's phone buzzed. A notification from her blog's comments section. Her blood ran cold as she read it. Nice photos, Elise. But you're playing a dangerous game. V. The comment glowed on Elise's screen. A digital dagger signed with a single letter. V. Her hands shook as she showed it to Mara, whose face drained of color. She knows, Mara whispered, her voice a fragile thread. She's found me. They stood frozen in the park, the kiss still warm on Elise's lips, now tainted by fear. Vanessa's reach had extended into Elise's world, her blog. A space she'd built to celebrate freedom, now a battleground. We need to move, Elise said, grabbing Mara's hand. Back to the shelter. Now. The walk back was a blur. Their steps hurried, eyes scanning every shadow. At the shelter, Rosa met them at the door, her expression grim. Someone called earlier, she said. Asked about a blonde woman matching Mara's description. I didn't confirm anything, but they were persistent. Mara's knees buckled and Elise caught her, guiding her to a chair. It's her, Mara said, voice trembling. Vanessa. She won't stop. Elise's mind raced. She'd faced trolls online, critics who hated her openness about her identity. But this was different, personal, predatory. We need help, she said. I know someone, a journalist friend, Lena. She's covered domestic abuse cases. She can dig into Vanessa, maybe find something to keep her away. Mara nodded, but her eyes were distant, haunted. You don't know what she's like. She twists everything, makes you doubt yourself. I thought I loved her once. Elise's heart ached at the pain in Mara's voice. She wanted to erase it, to promise a future free of fear. But promises were fragile, and Vanessa was real. We'll stop her, Elise said, squeezing Mara's hand. Together. That night, Elise emailed Lena, detailing Vanessa's threat without revealing Mara's name. Lena replied quickly. I'll look into Vanessa Carter. Stay safe. Keep Mara close. Elise also reached out to a lawyer friend, asking about restraining orders. Every step felt like arming for war. The next day, Elise and Mara stayed at the shelter, planning their next move. Mara was quieter, her fear palpable, but she leaned into Elise's presence, their shoulders touching as they sat on a couch. Elise opened her laptop, showing Mara old blog posts. Stories of queer couples finding joy, of cities that felt like freedom. "This is what I want for you," Elise said. "A life where you're not running." Mara's eyes softened. "I want that too. With you." The words hung between them, bold and vulnerable. Elise's breath caught, her feelings for Mara deepening with every shared moment. But Vanessa's threat loomed, a storm waiting to break. Lena's call came that evening. "Vanessa's got a history," she said, voice low. "Complaints filed against her in Chicago, harassment, stalking. Never convicted, but there's a pattern. She's careful, covers her tracks. I'm working on a source who might know more." Elise relayed the news to Mara, who nodded, her jaw tight. "She's always been careful," Mara said. "But she slips up. She gets angry." "Then we'll use that," Elise said. "We'll make her slip up." They devised a plan. Elise would post on her blog a vague but pointed message about resilience in the face of fear, hinting at a story of escape without naming Mara. The goal was to bait Vanessa to draw her out. It was risky, but Mara agreed, her trust in Elise absolute. "You're my anchor," she said, her voice soft. "I've never had that." Elise's heart swelled, but fear gnawed at her. She posted the blog that night, her words careful but defiant. "Some run from shadows, but light finds a way. To anyone hiding, know this, you are enough." The post went live and Elise held her breath, Mara's hand in hers. By morning the post had thousands of likes, comments flooding in with support. But one stood out, buried in the thread. "You can't hide her forever. V." Elise's blood ran cold, but Mara's grip tightened, her eyes fierce. "She's scared," Mara said. "She's losing control." Elise nodded, resolve hardening. They contacted Lena, who'd uncovered more. Vanessa had a pending lawsuit from a former employee, alleging intimidation. It wasn't enough for an arrest, but it was leverage. Elise's lawyer friend filed for an emergency restraining order, citing the blog comments as evidence of harassment. As they waited for the legal process, Elise and Mara grew closer, their bond a quiet rebellion against fear. They shared stolen kisses in the shelter's courtyard, whispered dreams of a future beyond hiding. But Vanessa's presence lingered, a threat they couldn't outrun. Elise knew the blog post had rattled her, but it had also raised the stakes. They were in a game of cat and mouse, and Vanessa wasn't one to lose quietly. The restraining order came through, a thin shield of paper against Vanessa's wrath. Elise clutched the document, her relief tempered by the knowledge that legal boundaries meant little to someone like Vanessa. Mara, sitting across from her in the shelter's common room, looked stronger, her eyes brighter, but fear still clung to her like a second skin. "You did this," Mara said, her voice soft but sure. "You gave me a chance to fight back." Elise smiled, but her mind was on the blog. The post had gone viral, shared by activists and queer communities across the country. Messages poured in support, stories of survival, offers of help. But Vanessa's latest comment haunted her. "You think a piece of paper stops me? Watch your back." Elise hadn't shown it to Mara, not wanting to shatter her fragile hope. Lena called with an update. "I've got a source," she said. "A former friend of Vanessa's. She's willing to talk, but she's scared. Says Vanessa's been obsessed with tracking Mara. Even hired a private investigator." Elise's stomach churned. "What do we do?" "Meet the source," Lena said. "She's in Brooklyn. I'll set it up, but you need to be careful. Vanessa's spiraling." Elise shared the plan with Mara, who nodded, her jaw set. "I want to face this," she said. "I'm done running." The meeting was set for a quiet coffee shop in Brooklyn. Elise and Mara arrived early, blending into the crowd of hipsters and freelancers. The source, a nervous woman named Claire, arrived clutching a scarf to her face. "Vanessa's unhinged," Claire whispered. "She talked about Mara like she owned her. Said she'd do anything to get her back." Elise's blood ran cold, but Mara's hand found hers under the table, steadying her. Claire handed over a USB drive. "Emails, texts, proof of what Vanessa's done. Use it carefully." Back at the shelter they reviewed the files. The messages were chilling. Vanessa's threats to Mara, her boasts of control. Elise forwarded them to Lena and the lawyer, who worked to build a case. But the victory felt hollow. Vanessa was still out there, a predator circling. That night, Elise and Mara sat on the shelter's roof, the city sprawling below. Mara leaned into Elise, her warmth a quiet defiance. "I used to dream of a life like this," Mara said. "Free with someone who sees me." Elise's heart ached with love and fear. "You have that now," she said, kissing Mara's forehead. "And I'll fight to keep it." But danger closed in. The next morning, Elise woke to a flood of notifications. Her blog had been hacked. Her latest post was replaced with a single image. A photo of Mara taken outside the shelter with the caption, "Found you." Elise's heart stopped. Vanessa had crossed a line and time was running out. They contacted the police, who traced the hack to a public IP address, a library in Manhattan. The restraining order was escalated, but Vanessa was a ghost, slipping through cracks. Elise's blog was temporarily shut down, her platform silenced. She felt exposed, her world unraveling, but Mara's strength anchored her. "We end this," Mara said, her voice fierce. "I'm tired of being her prey." They devised a trap. Elise would reactivate her blog, posting a live video from a public place, a park heavily patrolled where Vanessa might show herself. The police were looped in, ready to act. Elise's hands shook as she set up the stream, Mara at her side, their fingers entwined. The video went live, Elise speaking to her followers about courage, about love. Mara stood beside her, visible but silent, her presence a challenge. The park was busy, families and joggers unaware of the stakes. Elise's heart pounded as she scanned the crowd, waiting for Vanessa to take the bait. Minutes passed, then an hour. The police signaled no sign of her. Disappointment crept in, but Mara squeezed Elise's hand. "We're still here," she said. "That's enough." As they packed up, a figure emerged from the crowd, a woman in a dark coat, her face obscured. Elise's breath caught, but the woman turned away, disappearing into the park. Was it Vanessa? They couldn't be sure. The uncertainty gnawed at Elise, but Mara's presence grounded her. They'd faced the fear together, and that was a victory in itself. The park incident left Elise and Mara on edge, but it also forged something unbreakable between them. They returned to the shelter, the weight of Vanessa's shadow lighter but not gone. The police had the USB drive, the restraining order was active, and Lena's article exposing Vanessa's history was set to publish. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was hope. Elise reopened her blog, this time with a new post. A love letter to resilience to Mara, though she didn't name her. "Some stories start in fear," she wrote, "but they end in light. This is for anyone who's ever had to hide. You are enough." The post resonated, shared across communities, a beacon for those fighting their own battles. Mara too found her voice. She began writing again, poetry that captured her pain and her hope. Elise read her words, awed by their raw beauty. "You should share these," Elise said one evening, as they sat in a small diner, their hands linked across the table. Mara smiled, shy but determined. "Maybe I will. With you." Weeks passed, and Vanessa's presence faded. The police reported she'd left the city, likely spooked by the mounting evidence. Elise and Mara moved cautiously, but they began to build a life. Mara enrolled in a writing program, funded by a scholarship Elise's followers helped secure. Elise shifted her blog's focus, weaving stories of survival and love, her platform growing stronger. Their relationship deepened, a quiet love born from shared battles. They moved into a small apartment in Brooklyn, a space filled with books, photos, and Mara's poems pinned to the walls. One night as snow fell outside, Mara read a poem aloud, her voice steady. "From shadows I rise, held by your light." Elise pulled her close, their kiss a promise of forever. The ending wasn't perfect. Vanessa was still out there, a specter they couldn't fully erase. But Elise and Mara had found something stronger, each other. Their love, forged in fear and defiance, was a testament to resilience, a story they'd tell together, one post, one poem, one day at a time.